Hey there guys and gals. Hey, we've already played around with the Makey Makey and we've hopefully by now created a cardboard kind of prototype for the Makey Makey circuit board. And what we'd like to do now is look if we can extend our skills and actually CAD design a controller housing. But before we do that, we actually need to recreate this little circuit board in CAD so that when we create our housing we know the size and how this little guy will fit into a controller. There's not much point in creating a controller if this is either too big for the controller that you've designed or it's too small for the controller you've designed, or it just doesn't fit nicely. So before we get into the real big design functions, let's go through some simple processes in Fusion 360 on how to make a 3D version, simplified, of this controller panel. So I've already done it in another software called OnShape, an online software, because we're sort of bouncing between transitioning from OnShape to Fusion 360, so depending on where we're at school as to which one we use. So I've got a dimension drawing here and we're going to create the front and the back, because on the back are little digital pin ports that we need to accommodate for even if we don't use them in the circuit. So let's start by selecting the front box up here in the orientation, and we're going to create a sketch in the ribbon. Now, I'm still coming to terms with Fusion 360. I am very much a SolidWorks CAD designer, so there might be times when, you know, I might have to jump backwards and forwards to be able to make things work properly. But let's start. So I've created a sketch and we've got our drawing tools pop up here on this ribbon, and I know we're in sketch mode because it's got this little button here that says finish sketch. So let's start with a rectangle. So we're going to left click to select that rectangle tool. Now whenever we're designing in any software, CAD software, we really want to start our design from the origin. That's the center of the CAD universe. So if you ever know anything about the XYZ axes in 3D world, that is basically 0x, 0y and 0z. So let's start moving our cursor just to this point, and at that point left click and draw us up a rectangle. Now our size is going to be 95mm long by 50mm high. I wouldn't spend so much time trying to get an exact size with those little dimensions. Get it close, and then what we'll do is we'll actually fully define this drawing with exact dimensions. Now what I mean fully define, as you can see at the moment, our rectangle has two black lines here and two blue lines here, and it's shaded in the middle. What that means is our drawing isn't fully defined, it's not fully dimensioned. The computer is kind of thinking, anything could happen here if we've not actually set parameters within this design. So what we want to do is we want to fully dimension this rectangle. So up here, now we might have to play around a little bit. You should hopefully have a sketch button here in the ribbon. If you don't, I can tell you right now, the keyboard shortcut for dimension, and it's pretty much in any CAD software, is the letter D. And as soon as I click that on the keyboard, you'll see that there's like a little dimension diagram appear under my cursor. So let's run our cursor over this top light blue line, and you'll see it turns dark blue. We're going to single left click, and when we move our cursor up, a number moves up with it. When we single left click again, dialog box opens up, and we don't have to do anything else because that number is already highlighted. All we have to do is type 95 and press enter on our keyboard, and it's happy days. Now you'll notice all of a sudden this line on the right hand side has turned black. That means the width of this rectangle is now fully defined. If I was to remove the dimension tool, this top line is not defined because the height can be anywhere. It means we need to actually put a dimension on this left or right vertical line to secure this height. So with my dimension tool selected again, it doesn't matter which line I click. I'm going to select this one. I'm going to bring that over and I'm going to just simply type in 50. Now you'll notice all 4 lines are black. The sketch is fully dimensioned. What we want to do now is we want to extrude this. So I just did something really quick and simple, and I selected E on my keyboard. That takes me to the extrude function. You can, if I go back, you'll see there is a finish sketch button. You can click on that first and then you go into the features, which is what I was going into. So if I click that, what happens now is my sketch ribbon turns into a features ribbon, or if I simply click the E like I did before. We want to extrude this, so we want to make this a solid feature. I'm going to select the extrude button. Now what I want to do is click inside this rectangle so it's selected. Just make sure it's blue like that. If it's not, like if it's very, very faint, come back in and make sure it's a little bit darker. And here, either in the distance box floating down here or over this side, we're just simply going to make that 3mm. Now we can do, there's a whole heap of different things that we can learn as we go, but we don't want to confuse anything right now. We just want to do the simple stuff, and as we get to experience and understand this software a little bit more, that's when we can experiment and, you know, do crazy things. Alright, there's the first step. The next step we're going to do is actually save this. So we've created our first solid feature. We're going to come up to the top corner here and you'll see this little paper document with a drop down, and it says file. I'm going to click and I'm going to go to save. And look, we are going to go through processes, and don't worry too much right now. What we're going to do is just go click on default location. All of this other stuff is my other stuff, and we're just going to, where it's got name untitled, we're going to call this a Makey Makey board. Just call it Makey Makey board. So click on default project, Makey Makey board, and if I click and drag that up a little bit, oh look, I could create a new folder. Let's do that. Let's create a new folder, just to confuse the world. Didn't see that when I dragged it up. I'm going to call this Makey Makey. Save. So now we should have, if I go to default location, I should be able to click on default project, Makey Makey, click save, boom. See what happens. We're learning as we go. Alright, now what we're going to do is, the first thing with this circuit board is we're going to create the red outlines of the arrows, the circles, and the earth panel. That's it, just the red outlines. And we're going to cut extrude them in a little bit, and then when we do the copper pads, we're going to lift them back out a little bit, so then we've got good definition of the circuit board. So let's click on that front surface there, and come back over here to the sketch panel and select that. And what happens now, you'll see we're in sketch mode. Now, very similar to different CAD softwares, if I want to pan this, which means move it left to right, I'm going to hold the control button down on my keyboard. I'm going to press and hold the scroll wheel on my mouse, and now I can move it wherever I want. If I want to zoom in or zoom out, I can scroll my scroll wheel. Now it's important to know that if you want to scroll in onto a certain spot, keep your mouse over that spot. As soon as I start to not keep my mouse on that spot, you'll see it kind of goes eventually off the page. If all else fails and you lose your design, down the bottom here, in SolidWorks it's called a heads up display because it's actually up the top. I wonder if this means it's a bottom down display. Go figure. In the middle there is a fit button, and if you click the drop down and select fit, it's going to throw it right in the middle of your screen like that. That's just a quick run around. So let's select that top surface. It turns blue. We're in the sketch mode, and what we're going to start with is the rectangles on the side that are part of the arrows. So we're going to click this corner 2-point rectangle, and we're just going to simply draw something like that. Okay, now I personally get annoyed seeing the constraints, so I would suggest, depends on what you want, these constraints here are relationships. Okay, so this is saying this line is vertical, this line is saying it's horizontal. They get in my way. I don't want to delete them, because if I do, it means my lines can go all over the place. All I want to do is just hide them. Okay, it's up to you. All right, let's start. Stop talking, Davis. Dimension. So you can either D on the keyboard or the dimension tool up here. We're going to start by setting the thickness of these lines. So when I hover over this light blue line, it turns dark blue. I click on it, draw my dimension out, and it's 10.5. Okay. The next thing is this one is going to be 10.5 as well. So I'm going to left click, bring that up, make that 10.5. Simple, simple, simple. Okay. Now the next thing, this little, just this line here, just between here, this not the whole line, but this little space between that one and that one is going to be 11 millimeters. So if I click that and then click that one, I can then create that dimension in the middle there. So I'm going to make that 11. Oh, and see what happens. This drops down. Now, say for example, and I'm just going to get rid of my dimension tool by pressing escape on my keyboard. Say for example, when I put that 11 millimeters in, the box that I'd drawn dropped halfway in the middle. So I escape out of my dimension tool, and then this line, if I hold my left mouse button on it, I can drag it down like that. Okay, so just a little tip. Let's get our dimension tool again, because we want this line to also be 11. So that was between the bottom and the bottom. Funnily enough, we want the same on this side. So let's start with the right hand side. We're going to click the right line and the right line and bring that up. It's going to be 11. And we're going to do the same on this side. We're going to go this one. So click and click, and that's going to be 11. Alright, that's that. Now what we need to do is position where this guy sits. And I've done it again. I learned, it's all good. We're going to dimension from this line here to the very top of the board. Okay, so from here to the very top, I'm going to left click on that line, left click on that blue line at the very top, click, make that 14. So that moves all the way up. Now you'll notice all of my horizontal lines now have turned black, which means they are all fully defined. I can't put any more dimensions in to change that. But all my vertical lines are still blue, which means I need to set a dimension to tell the computer or the software how far from the edge is my little board. So what we're going to do is click the left edge and this left line here, bring that up, and we're going to type in 10, and now look at that, all of those lines have turned black, which means that is now fully defined. Now what I'm going to do here though is I'm actually going to get rid of not the big full lines, but just the little lines in the middle that make that square in the middle. So we're going to come across on the tools, and you'll see under the modify panel is a trim tool. You can use T on the keyboard or just select the scissors, and if I come over this line here and left click, you'll see it disappears. If I come over here and left click, you'll see it disappears. So I just do that. Now I've got some stuff going on. This warning over here says, hey, you know, you've just deleted some constraints. So you've just deleted vertical and horizontal. We're not happy. Okay. It's okay. Shh. Let's get rid of the scissors. So escape on my keyboard to get rid of those scissors. Now what we're going to do is put in the two red circles for the space bar and the click button. So on our drawing tools, let's come over, grab our circle tool, we are going to click one circle here and one circle here. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now, I'm going to show you in the OnShape tutorial, I didn't want to talk about relationships in regards to sketch entities. In this one, I'm going to talk to you about it. You'll see up the top here we've got constraints. And there's your horizontal and vertical. Here's your coincident, which locks 2 points together. You've got a tangent, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I'm going to make these two circles equal, so I only have to dimension one. And if I ever want to change that dimension, it will modify and change the other circle as well. So what I'm going to do is select equal, and then choose that one and that one. And then if I come over here and choose highlight or tick constraints, you'll see now there's like these little equal signs. Boom. So if I hit dimension button and I dimension one circle to 18, notice they both changed in size. If I change that back, they're both going to change in size. Alright, so keep them at 18. That's one trick. The next trick, as you'll see, I can move this one wherever I want. But if I only want to put the dimension, if they're always going to stay in alignment, I can do that and it snaps into alignment. There was a little, no, it's disappeared now. There was a little projection line, but it's disappeared. So I want to actually make these guys horizontally related. So what I'm going to do now is where the constraints are, I'm going to come across to horizontal / vertical. And I'm going to choose that. And then I'm going to click that button and that button. And you'll see all of a sudden that constraint pops up of horizontal. Now if I deselect it or escape on my keyboard, wherever I move it, they're going to move together. So again, I only have to set one dimension. So let's do that. Let's get our smart dimension tool. And these circles are 20 millimeters from the top of the board. So we're going to select the top of the board and the middle of the circle. Bring that over and type in 20. Now they've both gone in alignment together. Now this circle is a certain dimension from that edge. So we're going to choose the center point and the edge and bring that dimension up, and it's actually 15.5. Notice that circle's now turned black, which means that circle is defined, fully defined. The computer's happy with its location. It's got its height, it's got its distance from the side, but this other circle is not happy yet. It is set at 20 because it's got a horizontal relationship. But if I escape out of that, well, it's horizontal, but I can move it wherever I want, left to right. I can't go up and down because it's horizontal, but left to right, it's stuck. So what I need to do is set a dimension to the edge of this table or center point to center point. So that's what we're going to do, center point to center point. With your dimension tool selected, it's highlighted up in the ribbon. We're going to click on that one, bring that up and make that 19.5. That circle turns black. Happy days. One more red panel to create, which is the earth panel down the bottom. So that's a simple rectangle tool. We're going to start back at the origin, so back at that 0, 0, 0 point. So left click there, and we're going to draw a rectangle all the way over, and it wants to snap to that edge. So let it snap to the edge, and we are going to click. Alright, easy peasy. And look, 3 sides are defined. The verticals are defined because they can't go any further because they've snapped onto the edges of the board. The bottom one is snapped onto the bottom of the board, but this top line isn't snapped anywhere. It needs to be defined. It needs a distance or a measurement. How far from the bottom of the board is it? So let's choose the Smart Dimension tool. And look, you can either choose the top and the bottom line to get that dimension in between, or you can just choose simply one of these vertical lines. So let's drag that over, and we are going to make that 10.5. And now that is fully defined. If you need to pause the video, have a stretch, take, like whatever you need to do. But Now we need to actually, we're going to remove some of that material so that when we put the copper pads in, everything has its own little thing. So we can either, again, E on the keyboard or finish sketch here. Notice a glitch in this video. There's a glitch in the matrix. And that's purely because the last time I tried to do this, the extrude didn't work. So I'm kind of getting rid of that bit and we come on back to this. So here's our finished sketch. So as I said, we can either go finish sketch, or if I just hit E on the keyboard, I have an option now. And my option is to cut some material. And here it's asking for the profile it wants to cut. So I'm going to select that. There's 1 profile, 2 profile, 3 profile, 4 profile. And what I want to do is I want to click that arrow and I'm going to drag it in. But if I go -5, I'm going to take it all the way through. So while I've got it dragged inwards to cut, you'll notice there's a -5 there. I'm just going to get rid of the -5 and I'm going to make it -0.5 and then press enter. So all I'm doing is I'm cutting in 0.5 millimeter, as you can see. Alright? Oh, the beauties. I wish we could use SolidWorks. That's such a beautiful software. But anyway, here we go. What we need to do now is create the copper surfaces of this. So the copper tracks, boom, 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 it's upside down, the copper tracks that are what we connect our alligator clips to. So we're going to choose one flat surface, and it's going to be a surface inside the cut that we just made, because when we bring that back out, we want it to come out on from that surface. So I'm going to choose inside that circle first. I'm going to just hit up here my front button so it's nice and straight on, and I'm going to go to my sketch button. Okay, I'm just going to control and scroll button down so it's centered. And the first and easiest parts we're going to do are the 2 circles and the earth panel below. So we're going to select our circle tool. There's our center point. And we're going to draw that out. Now notice, no matter how good we choose our center point, it's actually not even. So I'm going to do the same thing here though. I'm going to draw my center point and draw that out. And remember our equals relationship. So here's our equals. And I'm going to choose that circle and that circle. So I've got my equal relationship there. Just escape on the keyboard. And I'm going to set my dimension on these guys is going to be 12 millimeters. So now they've both gone to 12 millimeters. But they're still not centered. So how do I make these guys centered? Well, I'm sure a fusion guru would be able to click on that circle and locate it. Okay? Try and, get it as centered as possible. However, in the relation or the constraints panel, there's another one called concentric, which basically means it's going to, as you can read, constrains 2 or more arcs, circles or ellipses to the same center point. That's what we want. So we're going to choose concentric, and I'm going to choose that circle and that circle. Boom. It's aligned. You'll notice my mouse cursor and the banner panel still has a constraint selected. So I'm going to click that circle and that circle. Boom. Perfect. Excellent. Happy days. I'm just going to now escape out of that relationship just by pressing the ESC button, top left corner of your keyboard. That's the circles. The next thing we're going to do is the little earth panel at the bottom there. Saving the trickiest to the last. So let's grab our rectangle tool. Let's start at the 0 point origin. Oh, no, we don't. Don't. Stop. 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 Escape. Stop. Grab our rectangle tool. We're going to start snapped on the bottom edge, but in a bit from the 0. My bad. Boom. Like that. Okay. So all I did was I just escaped, so I didn't accept anything. You can Control Z if you'd already started it, whatever. Right, now we need another rectangle while we've got the tool still active. But when we do this one, we're going to lock onto the top line here, but we're not going all the way to there. We're going to go just underneath like that. Okay, cool beans. Alright, let's dimension tool. Both these side edges are 2 millimeters. The distance is 2. Okay, and this side as well, the distance apart is 2. And the gap between this top little rectangle and this edge here is only 0.5 millimeter. Now, in real terms, there isn't really a gap, but if I don't set it, we won't really see how good it is. We won't see the definition of the earth panels. Anyway, you'll notice I've still got some blue lines here, so I still need to define the height of this box. So I'm going to click this line here, and I'm going to make that 8. So that starts to define things. And then I want to set this little guy here. It needs to be in the middle. So to do that, this little vertical line here and this outside edge here, that is going to be 41. You'll notice lines are starting to turn black now. Same with this one, that edge there and the outside edge of the circuit board. Just trying to get it so I can put my mouse cursor somewhere. That's 41. Okay, so everything is there, but I still have 2 blue lines. Now there's one little tiny dimension we have left to do, and that will determine here. So what we're going to do is from the top of here to the bottom edge, when it wants to click on it, there. Oh, it's already defined at 10. It's already defined at 10. Okay. So why won't our little blue lines turn black then? Okay. Oh, looky chooky. It means it's not defined or stuck on the bottom. So I'm just holding my cursor on it and dragging it. It's not defined or stuck to the bottom of the circuit board. Well, that's an easy fix. We need to add a collinear constraint to the bottom line and the bottom of the circuit board. I know you guys are going, oh my god, this is not, I'm done, miss, this is just way too confusing, I'm done. Take a breath. It's okay. A collinear relationship is going to line the lines up exactly like that. Okay, and it's going to lock them in place. A little bit like the concentric did for the circles. So up here in the constraints, next to the concentric, I'm going to sneeze, is a collinear relationship. So we're going to left click to select that, and we're going to come down and we're going to select the bottom edge of the circuit board and the bottom edge of that rectangle we drew, and watch what happens. It locks it in line, everything turns black, fully defined, everybody's happy, panic attack has been averted, we're good. Now, all I want is this little line here in the middle. I want to get rid of it. Alright, so like we did on that cross up the top, we grab our scissor tool. Now because we've drawn 2 rectangles, there's actually going to be 2 lines in that one spot. So when I click it the first time, there's still another line. I click it the second time, huzzah, line has gone. There's our earth panel, fantastic. Don't worry about that warning, we don't care that constraints have been missing again. Right, here's the trouble part. Let's do this. We are going to create one single arrow in here. Oh, gee, I just realised. It's okay, we can fix it. I didn't account for the little white dot in the middle, but we can fix that. We're going to draw one arrow and then we're going to pattern that around. Now, have I done much of that here in Fusion? No, I haven't. Is it going to be fun? Yes, it will. Are we going to learn together? We sure will. Let's do it. let's start with a 2-point rectangle tool and let's just draw a rectangle like that. Boom. Okay, now I want this rectangle to be symmetrical to this guy here. Symmetrical means equal either side of a center line. Okay, so in the constraints panel you will see a symmetry relationship, but we're not clicking on that just yet. No. What we want to do is we want to draw a center line first. So let's get our line tool, but we need to make this line tool for construction. We don't want it to be a solid line. We want it to be just a reference line, like it doesn't have any major reflection. It's just a reference. So we have to come over to here where it says line type, and you'll notice that one says construction line, that one says a center line. Look, I'm used to just using construction, but hey, we're learning together. Let's click a center line and see what happens. I'm going to click that. Did that actually go into the center? Is that centered? I'm just going to dimension that just to see. Oh, and it's not even straight either. So I'm just going to delete that. Alright, I didn't like that. No way, no siree Bob. I just highlighted it and pressed delete on the keyboard. Let's go back to for construction. Now, see, this is another reason why I don't like Fusion. I should be able to snap onto something here. I'm going to snap right there, and I'm going to try and make, I want this line to be not skew if I want it to be nice and straight, and I'm just going to that point there. Let's see how centered that is. Yeah, it's not that centered. Oh, it almost is, because that box is 10.5, so that should be 5.25. So it was almost there. So I've just put a 5.25 dimension in there just to get that centered. And I'm going to do the same again, and the reason why I'm going to do the same again is because we are going to need to put a circle in there eventually. So there's another center line there, dimension that 5.25. So eventually we're going to put a circle right in that middle point, okay? That's what happens when you're learning new software. So if you're feeling frustrated, that is okay. Feeling the love that is inside of me for learning and growth with Fusion 360. Sarcasm abounds. Anywho, let's keep going. What we need to do is we're going to have our arrow is going to sit 1.5 millimeters up from there. So I've got my dimension tool selected. I'm going to click that line, and I'm going to go 1.5. And for memory, because I didn't put it in my working sheet, that is 11 mils long, so we can click this side wall and make that 11. And now we just need to constrain the thickness of this, which is 5. So we just click that top line, see where it's blue, bring that dimension up and make that 5. Now because we've made this symmetrical now, this should, actually we haven't made it symmetrical. Let's make it symmetrical. There's symmetry. Click that, highlight it, boom. Then select that line, and that line. What the heck? Control Z, Control Z. See? Even for me, it fluffs up. So let's select the center line first. Then this one and this one. Control Z, Control Z. Do you know what? Let's try it one last time. Let's hit the 2 outside lines and the center line. That's what we had to do. So we're all learning. If that really confused you, just wind the video a couple of seconds. Alright, see all of these constraints. I'm going to untick that box because it just makes everything confusing. Now we've got it. Now we've got it. Now we've got it. We're going to get a line tool and we need to untick the construction. Untick the construction. So now we're going to create a solid line, which will be up in this top corner there. Boom. We're going to come down to about here. We will dimension it. Boom. And we're just going to draw a straight line right back to that edge there. Boom. So you can see we've got a bit of a arrow head. Okay. Let's dimension it. This little line here is going to be 1.5. Yeah? From that dot to that line, bring that straight out there, that's going to be 5. You can either mirror that or let's just draw it again because things are just, not happy in the world of Fusion. So we're just going to draw that on that side, angled line, straight line, same dimensions. This line 1.5, dot at the top, line there, bring that out 5. Have you got that? If you haven't, you might want to go back. Let's grab our trim tool because we don't want that, or that. And if you do get carried away and trim away way too much, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z will undo. Control Z is your best friend, okay? Okay. Escape to get rid of that tool. Alright, we are almost there. Let's put this little white circly dot back in the middle. So grab our circle tool. Let's find, see how it wants to snap to that middle. We're just going to bring that in and we're going to dimension that circle is 5. Okay. Alright. Let's do this. We are going to attempt together as a team a circular pattern of this arrow around that cross. I have done circular patterns, I've done linear patterns, I have done them all before. Everything's just amazing. So we're going to go to create and hit the drop down. Okay, down towards the bottom you'll see circular pattern. Beautiful. We're going to left click to select that. You'll notice what has now popped up is this little box here. It says circular pattern and it wants us to select stuff. So with the select objects highlighted, we're going to select that, all of the lines that represent the arrow. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Then we're going to click into the center point select button and we're going to choose the center point there. Now by default it's gone distribution full, being 360 degrees, and by default it's got a quantity of 3, which is the original, and 2 copies. We actually want 4. So you can either just override this 3 in here and type 4, or you can click this up button to go to 4, and look at what happens. We have 4 evenly spaced arrows. Click OK. We are kicking goals, beautiful people. We are nearly done. Alright, you might not think it, but we are. What we need to do now is actually extrude these little features that we've just drawn back up to the surface, so when we look at it in a 3D view we can kind of see what it looks like. So we're going to go E on the keyboard to extrude. Now over here is our extrude stuff. First thing I want to do is where it says new body, I want you to click that and select join. Okay, now where it says select, we are going to go around and we are going to I want you to select, please, arrow. So you might have to just move. See how sometimes depending on where I put it, it wants to select the cross. It's a bit annoying, so you might have to just move your cursor until you actually get it highlighting. Oh man, why do you have to be there we go. That was difficult. Boom. No, I don't want the whole circle, I just want the little circle. Come on. Little circle. I just want, and that. That's, anyway, that's life. So you want those things selected. Now, when we did the other ones, we cut them in 0.5 millimeter. These ones, we want them to extrude back out 0.5 millimeter. So I'm just going to put in 0.5 in there. And hopefully, see the arrow is heading outwards. Happy days. Everything's good over here. Enter on the keyboard. That's the front. Now the back is easy. The back is really, really easy. There's only 2 sketches and 2 extrudes to do. But we need to include the back so that we know what we're doing. So let's spin this around and select back so we can see what we're doing. Now, we're seeing these sketches. I'm just going to, see over here it says sketches and it had an eyeball in it. I've actually just clicked on the eyeball so they're hidden. Otherwise it's just too confusing. I don't like confusing. Let's click this back surface. Now we just need to make sure if I click some of these arrows, I just want to make sure that we've got the circuit board the right way up, which we have. That's up the right way. So I'm just going to continue around. The word back is up the right way. That's highlighted. Let's go to the sketch button. Come back here. All right, we're going to draw 4 rectangles. Just 4 random rectangles. Don't stress too much about where they are, what their sizes are, or what their locations are right now. I'm just going to get rid of the constraints again because I don't like them. I'm fussy, I know. All right, 4 random rectangles. All of these rectangles are 15 millimeters long by 3 millimeters thick. So let's get our Smart Dimension tool and just race around straight away and just make them all 15 by 3, 15 by 3, 15 by 3, and 15 by 3. Okay, if I did that too fast, pause the video. That's why we're doing a video. So if you get confused, you can pause it, you can rewind it, you can go back to it. In the meantime, there might be some chaos that I'm trying to deal with, or somebody that's like really stuck. Okay, let's try and use the videos as much as we can. All right, let's position these pins. These are the black mounting pins on the back of the board. So this top one here is going to be from this left side to the edge of the board, 37. And from the top to the top is going to be 7. Okay. This one on this side is going to be from the bottom of the rectangle to the bottom of the board, 21. And from the right side to the right side is 3.5. This bottom one here is going to be from this bottom edge to this bottom edge is 8, and it's going to be from the left side to the left side, 39. See how they're all turning black now? Because they're all getting defined. This last one, left to left, is 3.5, and from bottom to bottom is 21. Huzzah! And because I missed it out on my directions, we are going to extrude those pins. So let's go to E on the keyboard. Hello, where did you go? Where did that go? Okay, let's highlight our sketches again because I hid them. Thank you, Fusion. So over on the left where that little eyeball was crossed out, let's uncross out the eyeball. Over on this side where it says new body, let's click join. Where it says select, we're going to go and select these rectangles Now let's hold our scroll wheel down, make sure it's going to extrude out the right way. That comes out 10, we only want it to come out 9. So I've just typed in 9 and pressed enter, and there are those little guys there. Oh, there's that sketch. Let's just get rid of that one. That's all good. One more pin, and that is the power / data pin, and then you're done. Let's do this. So we're going to click, and we're going to make sure we're on the back view again. The back is selected. We're going to click sketch. We're going to grab our rectangle tool. Now we're going to start just above that edge, because that power port is about 1 millimeter above that edge. So we're going to start above there. We're going to draw something down like that. Our first dimension will be, let's set that top line distance 1 millimeter from that edge. Let's set the thickness of the port to 8. Let's set the distance in from the right hand side to 32. And because I was a bit slack in my dimensions, let's select this right line and make that 11. That little guy now is all black and fully constrained. We're going to go to E to extrude. We're going to change this to join. In my select button, I'm going to choose that profile. Now, got to be careful here because it's only chosen so far. If I drag that out, that first little bit that's on the edge, it hasn't chosen that extra bit above. So we've got to choose 2 pieces there like that. All right, and that's actually extruded out 4.5. There, my little champions, is a rough outline of our Makey Makey circuit board, control board in Fusion 360. Make sure we hit that and we go save or Control S. Yes, we want to use a save, or Control S on your keyboard to save it. I apologise for multitude of confusion, but just like you, I'm learning my way through Fusion 360 as well. I used to work a lot more in my 11 years of teaching in SolidWorks, which is another different CAD platform which is used primarily by universities. They all do the same thing, it's just getting your head around what's what. Anyway, thanks for your patience. Remember, fast forward, rewind, whatever you need to do, we're here for you.